Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za. Certainly it is Focus on Jobs on your radio. It's Chamano Makadi, live to you from our studios at 27 Boxes in Melville, Johannesburg. Yes, today we are pleased to welcome two of our guests who are going to talk to us on the issue of jobs. We're also going to talk to Investment Summit, which is coming up in few days' time. Now, President Cyril Ramaphosa led a government delegation in the last few days where big business alongside labor and community met in Midrand to deliberate on issues that affect the people of South Africa, mainly the young people who are unemployed. Joining me on the line, it's Mandla Mkhwanazi, who is a leader in his capacity working for Transnet, and there's a lot of things that Mandla is also doing in community. Mandla, good afternoon and a very warm welcome to you.
Good afternoon, Chaman. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to the listeners out there.
International speaker and communication strategist Mpumi Nobeva. She is joining us in studio. Good afternoon, Mpumi.
Good afternoon. Hello, Chamano. Good afternoon, Mandla. Thank you for joining us, and greetings to all of our listeners.
Thank you very much indeed. Let me start with you, Mandla. Job Summit. I guess so many people have been waiting for this to happen. What was your impression overall?
I think the impression overall on my side was that it happens at the right time of the country, especially I think we're in the period of transition, and at the same time we're having a major challenge around the unemployment, more of the youth, which is so frustrated about. Some of them already finished their qualifications in terms of their junior degree. Even some have done even second degrees, but they find themselves in a situation where they can't be absorbed by our job market. So I would say, to me, what was critical there is that it wasn't only about just employment, but it's also to bring the social partners like the labor unions and also the private sector, public sector, to make sure that we also create not only the job seekers, but also to find a way of developing the entrepreneurs, your SMMEs, your small, medium-sized businesses coming out of these youth, which is currently unemployed, but with these critical skills they have, especially for our future, while we are in this era of the fourth industrial revolution.
The Job Summit promises 11 million jobs by 2030. Young people in their large numbers today, as we all agree, they are frustrated, they are looking for jobs and there are no jobs, and those that are employed, companies are retrenching. How possible is this? Is that just one of those things where people are just throwing numbers around, or is there some practical steps that are going to be taken in making sure that indeed people do get jobs?
Well, if I take that immediately after the Job Summit, the President is also even busy arranging the Investment Summit, which is coming at the end of the month. So with that in mind, to me, it seems to be more aligned in terms of what needs to be done, because you need money, you need the investment to the economy, you need to create industries. You need to bring investors who will look at opportunities of even creating new factories in the country, to look at opportunities of the new technology adoption which are brought by this fourth industrial revolution. So with that combined, it actually seems to be the very well aligned of getting these jobs and the promise to make sure that the unemployed youth in the main, I'm focusing more on them because they are the ones who seems to be despondent, and they are the ones who are the leaders, who are business leaders, and who are also job creators of the future. So we need to keep them positive, to bring them to the mainstream, to bring their creativity in so that they can be the one who participate more on this, on the creation of jobs.
Mpumi, you are passionate about young people, and I know that you have been doing a lot
Yes.
of work with young people. What are they telling you? What is your experience? What are some of the stories you are picking from the ground?
You know what, there are lots that I'm hearing, but what I'm observing, I think, is so critical as a young person. I'm 25 years old, and I've had the privilege of education. I've had the privilege of traveling far and near and seeing what young people are capable of. And I have devoted my life to working with young people in this country through Share Your Story Africa. You know, we empower young people. We take people who have been discouraged because of things that have happened in their lives, from being orphaned to AIDS like I was, or, you know, surviving human trafficking. You know, every person has a story, and we take this story and we say, how can we use this story to serve me as a measure that can also make me stand out in public, create opportunity, and advance me in some ways. The youth are ready. You see, the youth, I believe, are, you know, when we just came from the Nelson Mandela Foundation, and the whole ethos there is that, you know, be the legacy. That is the prompt. And what I say is, we are the legacy, and in fact, the legacy speaks. The legacy says, hear me. The legacy says, see me. The legacy says, I am creative. I am empowered. I am enthused. I come from a world of incredible transitions and transformations, and I want an opportunity to be creative. I want an opportunity to innovate, and I want an opportunity to serve my community. And, you know, I think that part of the solution is going to come from us meeting young people, speaking their language, understanding who they are, and understanding what speaks to them where they are, and how we can fill those gaps and serve them. You know, part of what we're learning as a new democracy is that it's not always in our favor to adapt systems that have worked in other times or other states. We are in, as Mandla said, a very critical transition point. And I think that's an opportunity for us to be very creative and very collaborative with the youth in creating new opportunities.
Are we doing enough as a country to speak the language that young people understand?
I personally do not think so. I don't think so, because I feel that even whether we're speaking about the issue of unemployment, which is very intrinsically tied to the conversation of land is critical for us to be able to establish and inspire future generations of wealth. A lot of these conversations become very politicized. A lot of these conversations become very racialized. And I think when that happens, it strips the narrative. What it does is it pulls the narrative to very polarized places. And it leaves the youth with very little to say, because, you know, our leadership is very much older generation. And so now we find that we're stagnant. And so that's why I'm not surprised that mental health is one of our biggest issues right now, that we have some of our most prominent graduates committing suicides because the world just won't hear us, won't let us breathe. And so part of what my prayer is, and what I see just observing from the ground, is that we have an opportunity through the power of story, through the power of narrative, going into Ipai, finding those survivors and saying, how do you do it? And what do you need in this community to thrive? And then using, as Mandla said, technology, scale, communication, investment to push those forward. Because when we invest in a person and their vision, there's no way that that person can fail, because I'm that person and I know what it feels like to stand alone and want to fight for a vision because it is something you believe in. There are millions of young people out there who believe in something, who see possibilities, who see loopholes that we aren't able to see. And I think it's time that we do less of adjudicating from official levels and actually get on the ground. Pull the people closer to the mic. Let's hear them. Let's see them. Let's go into their communities and let's hear. I mean, I heard about this very cool. I just landed from Toronto. You know this. I've only been in the country for a few hours, really.
Few hours, that's right.
But one of my earliest conversations in Joburg was a gentleman telling me, he's so impressed because this was actually at Senef yesterday. He was saying he was so impressed because he was, I think, in one of our townships, and it's a group of young boys who have this very cool thing where they go around and they sell a bride to you.
That's
so
right.
people want a bride, but not everybody wants to do the bride themselves. Not everybody knows where to get the meat. So these young boys have devised a very cool system that is just pick up and go, where they can go to a family and say, "Libatlang. All right, it's going to be 40 minutes, all right." And while they're doing that, another one is down the street doing that. You see, and so when I hear that, I think, there we go. That's it right there. That's initiative. That's innovation.
There's something going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we have to find those stories and we need to support them and use those as a model to promote and model that behavior at a national level. That's what I think.
Mandla, let me come back to you. You were still talking about the upcoming investment summit. What difference is this going to make within the context of the creation of jobs?
Chumanda, in support of what Mpumi just mentioned, I would just actually highlight one thing here currently, which is part of our challenge of the country. We need to recognize what are the challenges we have in the country. Yes, the unemployment is one. To pull people from the legacy of the past in terms of how people find themselves in these areas which find themselves not developed, underdeveloped and all that. But there's opportunities there because with that underdevelopment, with the technologies which are coming through today, and look at how mobile has been adopted in our country. Actually, the other part of the country which has skipped to have fixed line telephony, for example, because mobile came in and then those people were able, instead of going that step of getting a line telephone at home, but they just went straight to the mobile technology. So we can do that, take advantage of this, how we were structured in the past, the areas like in the rural areas. There's a lot of opportunities if you look from the agricultural sector point of view, kind of challenges which other areas. I would make an example of what comes up in the communities where we work with, is that in the past when we were doing our social responsibility in terms of maybe building schools, building clinics and all that, but we will go and build a school in an area where actually already have schools, but they need a clinic. But we didn't make that much assessment of that area, what they really need. And so what my point is there is that we'll build a community hall, but they didn't need a community hall, but they needed some kind of a skilled hub where they will develop skills and harness the skill set which is around the community there to build something which is actually solving the immediate community challenges.
Mpumi, are we sometimes maybe missing a point? I hear the issues that Mandla is raising, where we would go on and build something that community probably don't even need.
Yes, and this has happened a lot, right? Because I think it just comes from a legacy of being told and being taught that to ensure success, to be developed, to be a First Nation, we have to take Western methods and directly impose them, or take strategies and methods that have worked in previous decades and directly impose them. And for me, that has just never made sense, because you see, we are literally a brand new nation. We're a new people. And much like what Mandla is saying, we need to be very creative in how we meet people where they are and empower them from that place upwards. We've seen this a lot, where it's clinics or a building, and people will say, look, we build a building for them, they don't use it. Because in this culture, that concept has not yet arrived. What we miss, I believe, is the responsibility and the task, first of all, to define and scope culture. We are a youth population. We are a young society, which means, there are tactics and shortcuts like technology, like creativity, like stories. Stories I love, because I'm sitting here. I just came in from Toronto. I spoke at an organization. I've spoken in Washington. I did a 10-city tour in Canada. I'm going again for 30 more cities in January, right? Everyone, whether it's the White House, whether it's my clients in Toronto, whether it's the businesses I work with in Hollywood, in Los Angeles, everybody listens when I speak, because my story as Umpumi, Ozalole Ezonkizizwe, is that AIDS took my mother and not my spirit. And I understand my story in the context of my people. I understand my story in the context of who I am and how I align that with the education, with the passions that I have, and how I want to serve. I'm saying all of that to say,
alignment is important. Yeah.
Alignment is important. First of all, culture. Let's just get back to that. Culture, who we are as a people, what our values are. And we have to look at facts. The facts are we're a youth population. Facts are of that youth population, majority are black kids. Facts are of that majority are unemployed. Majority are relegated. Majority are silenced. Those are facts. Now we have an opportunity to say, now, how do we begin to turn those numbers around? How can we use resources that we have? And of course, my passion is technology, because it scales and it allows us to bypass a lot of the old systems that no longer work, right? That's how you have someone who's 25 doing what I do, because I no longer have to seek permission in the traditional way that would take 4 years for a proposal to be approved. I can now craft a movement online on social media and begin the conversation. But before we can even get to those measures, are the people. In every person is a story. Who are you? Wagwabani. Yeah. What are your dreams?
Who are you?
What has shaped you? Right. What inspires you? What do you see when you look around? What breaks your heart? Because if we can connect to the heart of our people, I think we can connect to the promise of who we are as a new legacy. That's where we start. We need to go to the people.
International speaker and communication strategist Mpumi Nobhiva, digital business leader Mandla Mkhwanazi, who's joining us on the line. Yes, they are still with me here. So let's take a break. We live to you from 27 Boxes. This is Focus on Jobs. Stay tuned.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville. This is brandlive.co.za.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Hey Bonang, how are you?
Hi Tuli, look so beautiful. Hey, long time no see. What happened to your skin, by the way? The last time I saw you, you had a lot of blemishes and breakouts. It was so terrible, man.
Wow, thanks for that, Bonang. Luckily, I discovered DMK. Have you heard of DMK?
DMK? Who are they?
DMK is a paramedical skincare brand that specializes in all skin conditions. Would you like their number?
Yes, please.
I know you're not good at numbers, so let me give you their website address because your skin looks terrible. It's www.dmkskincare.co.za.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat. Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.
Thank you very much indeed. We are back. It's Focus on Jobs on Brand Live. We're still talking to Mandla Mkhwanazi and Mpumi Nobiva. Mandla, let's talk about the upcoming summit, as in the investment summit. What can we expect to come out of this? Are we talking to international investors? Who are we talking about here? Mandla, are you still with us? Okay. Whilst we are trying...
yes, thanks, Shamana.
Okay,
Sorry for the mood. If I listen to what actually the president envoy on the investment envoys, one of them, if I recall, they saying on the $100 million which they're expecting to raise, half of that is expected from the local investors, and then half of that from the international investors. So you have a mix of both international and local investors, because there is a view that there is some money which the local investors are holding, but they are not sure exactly where to invest. Let's just make this example. If you take what Mpumi was saying, you must look at the opportunities we have in the country. If we take, for example, tourism in this country, I don't think we exploited that so much. They see in the US or in Asia, where you go out there, you look at how they harness their culture in terms of exporting that knowledge and understanding of where they come from, their background, what is the beauty of South Africa. There is this cultural diversity, which we need to harness and just export it out there, which people get so excited about knowing about it. So to me, if I were to advise on this investment opportunity, that's the area where South Africa can immediately expand and create more jobs to be expanded across the country. And that's one area I can highlight quickly.
Because at the same time, Mandla, we have an argument from others who are already saying it's one thing to talk about creation of jobs, but if the economy is not doing so well, what jobs do you expect to be created? I don't know. What's your take on that argument?
The reason I make this example, because it's something we can take advantage of. It's unique to our country. We can sell a lot of things. Let me give you just one example around it. I think the focus we have is the range of the urban area where the resources are already saturated, and everybody is coming to the city because they think the job opportunities are here. But we need to distribute the creation of jobs. Make sure that jobs are created where people, I think they know best, they come from, where they are. They don't need to move around where they are to come to cities. There's a lot of things which people in their local areas could be creative, like Mpumi said. They could be creative and understand, because they understand their environment. They understand their area. They know exactly where the opportunities can come from. And creativity and innovation, if we can tap into that, I lead, as you know, I lead the public sector ICT forum. What we have found that we always do this forum in Johannesburg, but we find people coming from regions like from Limpopo and Nelspruit, Mafikeng coming down from Rustenburg to Gauteng. So we decided now to go there on next session at the end of the month on the 30th. We're hosting it in Limpopo. So that's one way of spreading the very same knowledge, the very same creativity to make sure that it actually develops and also expand within the areas where people are there in the region. So we will be going to Nelspruit, we'll be going to Rustenburg in future, even in Western Cape and in KZN.
Mpumi, what is the one thing that you would like to see come out of this summit?
Well, first, before I get to that, I just have to say I'm so encouraged by your words, Mandla. When you speak about creativity and innovation and scale, we really do speak the same language. And you know, I'm a strategist by trade, but ngumZulu, and I like to stay on task. And I have to say, while I'm in the country, I'd be remiss if I don't meet the gentleman on the other side of that voice, because I do think that a part of the solutions will come from us acting in real time. So that's just my way of saying, Mandla, if you're in Joburg by any chance in the next couple of weeks before I fly out, please would you give me the honor of a dinner or a conversation where we can really get into this. But you know, with regards to the summit, Wonderful, thank you. In regards to the summit, what my expectation is that we can use it as an opportunity to have more of these conversations. I think naturally as human beings in our order, we want to see balance, we want to see things sorted. And my concern is that because we're so desperate for change, we run the risk of very easily again taking and imposing when there's so much beauty in discourse. Because already I haven't met Mandla, but I feel like I see him because I understand and I hear his vision. And I would like to know that this investment summit is an opportunity for us to see each other. Like, first of all, let's actually just realize who's in the room, what the talents are, what the capacity is. Let's tap into that intelligence. Let's brainstorm, let's think tank, and then let's rally around these very particular outcome, the key results. You know, Mandla mentioned these goals at the beginning. But I would love to see a situation where we really get into the minutiae. We talk, conversations, and find those, because just by listening to Mandla, I've learned so much about where we are as a country, and I've gotten so much encouragement. But already I'm thinking, oh my God, this connects to the conversation I was having with a colleague. He's headed to China. He's in Los Angeles. He has a beautiful scaling technology. This connects to Nation Builder. I need to email them, you know, because already the mind. This summit, I think, should be an opportunity for us to convene, to sit at the table, to be there and say who's in the room. Already we know that, okay, so half of the investments will come from local investors, half will come from international. Who do we have? What capacities are there? Meaning, what do we already have in the playing field? And then how do we then translate that back into our market based on who our culture is? If I could, I'd invite myself to the Job Summit as well, you know, because this is the sort of space where we need the conversations to happen. For sure.
No, that's for sure. So, Mandla, now we know that a lot has been done already within the context of, Job Summit. What are some of the things that we did not do right, and have we learned anything out of that? Because it can't be, it can't be normal. We can't just continue as if everything is okay.
I will say, Tamana, you know what? This I don't think what I'm going to say is new, and it will sound fresh from your ears already. To everybody listening, South Africa, we're known to have great ideas, to have great plans. Our challenge is to put them into execution. Exactly like Mpumi just mentioned. We need to take action on whatever has been deliberated, whatever was highlighted, whatever has been decided. These are the steps we need to take. Let's take them. Let's do them. The next job summit should be about how far have we gone to those the resolution and actions which were actually decided on. Instead of saying, well, it seems like we haven't started anything, we haven't gone far, what do we still need to do? We need to replan, we need a new plan, we need a new job summit. No. The next thing should be how far have we gone in terms of the actions we already decided on. At least, I was with my colleague yesterday. We're still on that session about the strategy session. They say it's so bad when somebody cannot make a decision. It's better make a decision and the decision later you find that it was wrong, but it was made. Other than you keep people in the loop and there's no decision made.
Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, Mandla, because I think it can't be, that we just continue as if everything is okay. Obviously, I mean, millions of young people, they're crying, they don't have jobs, and we know what poverty does to our people. So something really needs to be done. But Mpumi, let me ask this. I'm almost tempted to call you an activist.
I
because,
really am.
Because activism, that's basically what you have been doing in that.
It's my whole life.
In that space. What are some of the things that young people got to be doing? And I'm talking about initiatives that are basically coming from young people themselves. Yes, we can hear all of these things that government, business, labor is talking about. What are some of the things that young people got to be doing?
Here is my thinking. My thinking is that we need to connect to the heart and soul of our young people. And I think we do that by re-inspiring the legacy of Madiba, of Utata, that says this is an equal society, a diverse society. This is a South Africa for all. And this is a society that has incredible culture and richness to it. From a practical standpoint, if you just stay with me, because I know, it may seem a little convoluted, especially when I talk about story. I think we have an opportunity here during this transition time to tap into the youth and have them realize that they are in fact the solution. There is no other solution. There is no other solution. We are a youth population. These are literally the leaders of our next generation. And so everything, whether it's the job summit, the investment summit, everything that we're doing lies in the faith of these young lives that very soon will have to trail the blaze and carry that legacy forward. They are that legacy. I think part of the oversights that have happened in our very quick transition, Utata was a charismatic, a very charming man, and truly a strong brand. There was a lot of romanticization around that. It was romantic, it was beautiful, it was charming. But I think what we did well as a nation is telling that story. And now we have an opportunity to take that story and translate it for the people for whom it truly belongs. The youth, the future, young people. We need to go to them and say, do you actually realize, number one, that you are bigger than that circumstance? You are bigger than that shack you're in. You are bigger than the title of being an orphan. You are bigger than being a rape victim. You are bigger than your circumstance. You are not defined by that. And in fact, everything that has happened to you has actually happened for you. That has been your advancement, your training. We're living in a country where we have all these issues and you can be a part of that solution. And I'm Mpumi Nobiva, I'm 25, I'm living my best life. I'm here right now and I'm getting paid because my job understands that this is my life. I'm telling you that you can do it in your name, you can do it in your voice, you can do it in your swag and in your style. And you don't have to go outside of yourself. What you do have to do is you have to work hard. You have to apply yourself. You have to be of servant leadership. You need to understand that before you walk, you got to crawl. There are adults around us. There are organizations and companies that have a lot to teach us. Tap into that resource, but understand that your greatest resource is who you are and the story you can tell. Have those conversations and activate in community. Begin to create spaces where more and more of those narratives can grow and then bring in the investors. And then we start realizing the innovation, the ideas, and they will blaze it. They will trail it because that belongs to them. It's their vision. They will believe in it. And in time, we will become the story that the young people tell because we are the stories that we say we are. You see what I mean?
Wow, there you've had it. You are the greatest, your greatest source, rather, it's who you are.
It's who you are,
It's
and your
who you
story
are.
is
That's
your
right.
asset and everything. I don't care what it is. You know, whether it's being orphaned to AIDS or my grandmother being a domestic worker or I don't care what it is. It has all happened so that I may now come back and serve the people who find themselves in that circumstance. And I am creative, I am entrepreneurial, and I'm having fun with it. But it's also in a real way, it is scaling and it is impacting society. And this is possible for every person, but particularly important for our youth.
There we go. We're taking a short break. We'll be back in just a moment. This is Focus on Jobs.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.
Whether you're an athlete or just going about your day-to-day business, use Turbo Freeze on the go for any pain relief or inflammation. It's the #1 pain relief formula. To find out more, log on to our website www.turbofreeze.co.za. Brandlife.co.za is Thought Leadership Radio. It's a new way to communicate your brand, your value, and what you think about your industry. Be a leader.
You'll never stop at one. I'll take you all on.
Be your voice.
I have a dream.
And we will help you shape your industry. Our radio platform is for thought leaders who want to share insights, businesses who want to create value for their databases, organizations who want to control their message, for those that drive change. Make your brand come alive on brandlife.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. Brandlive.co.za.
Certainly, Focus on Jobs, coming to you from our studios here at Brand Live, 27 Boxes. The conversation still continues on the Job Summit. Yes, of course, the Investment Summit. In studio with me, it's Mpumi Nobiva and Mandla Mkhwanazi, who's joining us on the line. But a very special guest in my studio, right? A very special guest in my studio who is joining us on this last segment. Makosi Nobiva, who is one of the many young South Africans who understand what unemployment does. Is here to talk to me. Makosi, welcome. Let me just kick off this segment with you. Talk to me about your experience.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me. Being unemployed has affected me in many ways than one. And mainly it's been negatively since I'm a father and I'm a husband at home and I'm expected to provide. But now being looking for work for more than 4+ years and now hope is running very low and feeling very neglected and very out of space.
Wow. Tell me, how old are you now, and for how long have you been looking for a job?
Right now I'm 35, but I've been looking for work. I've lost my work in 2015, if I'm not mistaken. And ever since then, I've been looking for work. up to the sense where I ran very low on cash. I can't even afford to make a CV anymore. Can't afford to take a taxi and go look for work anymore. It just costs more than what it's worth. I'm now falling under the population of the people who are unemployed and now losing hope of even looking for work because it's just bad news after bad news all the time.
At 35, I mean, you talk of yourself as a parent, already a family man. What does this do to your family? I can't even imagine.
It's a sad tale to say, because now, I mean, at home, being a father who can't provide for his own family and only depending on what you get, and now the family struggles a lot. And as a father, you start feeling worthless. You know, you feel like a dead weight. You feel as a person who's just a bargain on other people, because now you have to live out of handouts, and which is something you really, no man alive, I'll say, wants to be something that will be a luggage to somebody else. We want to carry our own weight, provide for our own family, and be father, and move things forward.
Yeah. Mandla and Mpumi, I really want to bring you back to this conversation. You've listened to one of the country's young people who talks from their heart. Mandla, you've listened to all of that. What do you say?
Yes, Thomas. I know the story is not the only unique story in the country. I know of young people who tell the same story across the country. But what I can say now to especially the way we feel so despondent about the whole thing is that, take for example, I think Pume made this example before, not in this way, but he actually highlighted the example of Madiba. Imagine if Mandela came out of jail when he was released after 27 years, and he decided to say, well, with all the power and the influence he's got, he will start abusing that instead of actually using it the way he has used to rebuild the country, to work on reconciliation, to work on children well-being of the country as we know today. I would say to advise anybody who's in this situation that don't take your current circumstances as then become so depressive that in such a way that it closes your creativity, it closes any opportunities you might actually not identify yet, but possibly are. So find a way of getting people who can inspire you, people who can actually assist you in terms of what else can you do, what are the opportunities out there, what other things one can do in terms of making, as I was saying, I'm working a lot on projects today which are looking more as Transnet, for example, the company. We used to train about 1,000 or 2,000 artisans which were actually a part of our schools. But the objective was that we, after their training, we absorb them in our company. But today we cannot, because we can't have the opportunity of 2,000 young people coming in the organization. So what we're trying to do is to turn that around. So we've already given them the skill. They must use the skill we've already given them through our schools to go and be job creators. So we are assisting them to be entrepreneurs out there, to go in the areas of their communities. We look in our communities, there's so much of opportunities of things which communities feel they cannot get anybody to assist them with. They have to go to the cities for those services which they can do. Somebody can do it within locally and save them money. So those are the type of things we need to think of. And I will encourage the young men as we're talking on the studio here to say there could be something. There might be at least three things we can think of we can do. Maybe you need assistance. This is where then the investment summit comes in to say somebody who's got money out there, he can invest on a good idea. As long as it's a good idea, somebody will come up with it, believe in it, and it can work. and give returns and also solve the problem of job creation in the country. And that's what we need to focus on.
That's powerful, Mandla. By the powers vested on me, Mandla, can I take this opportunity perhaps and put you in a tight corner? Probably just to have a separate conversation. I will obviously organize with my guest who is with us actually here in studio that along the lines of the initiatives that you're talking about, we can create an opportunity, and I believe that it will not just be an opportunity for him, but an opportunity that will also see other people benefiting from him in the things that he might wish to do going forward.
Definitely, I'm open for that, Chairman. As you know, as part of the public sector, everything we're doing has to be followed our government, which we work under, but definitely to sit down and talk. I couldn't get exactly the right name. The name,
Makosi.
I don't know whether you said Makosi.
Makosi, yeah.
Makosi, yes. I wouldn't mind to sit. I sit every day almost with some of the young minds, which I call them young minds, because they do have ideas, but they just need that inspiration. They just need that somebody who can just push them in terms of the direction and give them the encouragement and make sure that whatever they're thinking of is not off completely. Some expected. He can actually see opportunities from those ideas. So yes.
No, thank you very much indeed, Mandla. I'm going to take final word from Mpumi. I'm also going to take final word from Makosi. Maybe let me just start with you. Final word from you, Makosi. Your wish.
My wish will be mainly sitting on seeing the country moving forward in a sense that more young people are employed and there's not too much destitution of young kids who are giving up on life, end up in situations whereby they now commit suicide, they now throw themselves over to drugs, they now do things that will quickly see them to the end. If the government or whoever is listening can maybe come up with ways that will open up opportunities for young people so they can revalue themselves.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. Makosi, still want to say something to Mandla? Yes, directly to Mandla?
Thank you, Mr. Mandla, for listening to me, and I hope other young people will benefit from this conversation we had. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. As we come to the end of this program, Mpumi, 30 seconds.
30 seconds, so hard. I'm a chatterbox. Mandla, superstar. Thank you so much. Makosi Nobiva, my friend, confidant and blood. Thank you for your time and opportunity. Chamano, thank you for having me here. I think we've had a lot of progressive conversations. We've just seen out of this conversation how one life has been touched. And we don't know what God, what opportunity will do between the conversation that will happen between these two men. But that's what we mean about innovation, about stories. Because when we see people, once you've seen someone, you will want to help them because you see their promise. Yeah. And if you understand that they're intrinsically tied to the promise of our nation, then it will be in your interest to want to see them succeed because their success is your success.
Focus on Jobs. This is how we end it for this edition. Thank you so very much indeed. We were coming to you live from 27 Boxes in Melville, Johannesburg. I'm Chamano Makadi. Until we do it again, it's goodbye.
Live from 27 Boxes in the heart of Melville, this is brandlive.co.za.